Hello, 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 masculine warriors out there, and welcome to the Talking Stick Show. So this week I am joined by Laura Massey. Hello, Laura.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thanks, Dale. Yeah, great to be here.
Good to see you. And Sean Bibby, how are you doing, my friend?
Good, mate.
You
Real
feeling
good.
strong? You feeling good?
Yeah, it feels good to be here.
Yes, good to have you as well. So last week we were covering all parts of the divine feminine and we were dissecting it and talking about the good, the bad, and the in-between. And this show is going to be about the divine masculine. So we're going to be doing role play. We're going to be going into all the parts of what people think divine masculine is, the good parts, the not so good parts. So where should we start, guys? Laura, what does divine masculine mean to you? Because that term gets thrown about a lot. So for a lot of people, it means different things. So for Laura Massey, what does that mean for you?
It would mean my ideal partner, Dale. It's what it will mean. So it will mean strength, honor, assertiveness and confidence, being logical, things that I'm not always, a protective energy, yeah, I'll think a bit more about that. But that is for me what I would be looking for in a divine masculine. Those sort of qualities.
Would you see Archangel Michael's sword in there anywhere? Because it makes me think about when back in the Lightworker days when there was the angel cards and they always had Archangel Michael the masculine with like a 10-pack with a huge sword. And that was portrayed as Michael the masculine warrior.
Funny you say that, because when I think of him in my mind, I think of him like more of an effeminate, but still with like the sword and stuff. Just like a slender angel, not 10-packed out.
Yes. So for those listening as well, everyone in the chat, put your thoughts in as well. What does divine masculine mean to you? The first impressions you pick up when someone says it, place that in the chat. So Sean, what does it mean to you when I ask that question?
Well, I love we're doing this show because I love the divine feminine show. But what comes up when I think of the divine masculine, I think of seeking and finding energy. So energy that's going outwards. I think of things of outsides, not inside. I think of just like something that takes action instead of thinking. Just constant outward moving energies is what I tend to think of when I think of the divine masculine.
Yeah,
And
whereas the divine feminine goes inwards, the divine masculine is an outward energy. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And then since I learned a little Spanish today, it ends with an O and feminine ends with an O.
Warrior ho.
That's how you know.
Yango. Yeah, I mean, they're also about survival, aren't they? Providing.
Yeah. Like making the house, making the structure, bringing home the bacon, even though it's not necessarily that. But that's what I think of. Bringing home the resources.
Yeah.
So why don't we talk about kind of like the fine line between masculine and being a zealot? Because I think there's a real fine line in between this. And a lot of people think that being a divine masculine being, but sometimes it can turn into being too controlling or too trying to control a situation. So let's walk between both lines of it and see what's good and what's bad, because providing for someone is great, but sometimes we can be the martyr for our own self where we give ourself and our power away, and that's not what divine masculine is about. So let's talk a little bit about there. Sean, Laura, do you want to expand on that?
Something like where assertiveness turns to aggression, or the warrior energy turns into the war energy. So it's almost like having a desire to overprove or even to prove something when you don't need to. Because if you're just living and being and holding those energies, then there is nothing to prove, is there? So that extreme always seems to me the need to prove, which then comes back to they don't feel happy in their own skin because somewhere along the line, I mean, you could apply this to the divine feminine as well. When you're taking an extreme of something, it means you haven't got that balance within, and you're not happy in your own self. You're taking on others' projections, and you have a need for approval.
Beautifully put, Laura. Sean, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah. I like how you said extreme, because that's and same with the war energy, because that's what it feels like. That's when it feels like it has a complete separateness, where the masculine, like, because we're supposed to be a balance with two wings and part masculine, part feminine, always circulating. But when it really separates, that's when they're just gone out to war, gone out to prove. Because I tend to think of the feminine as home, and then the masculine as going out to just explore. And then when you're going out exploring forever and you never come home, it's tough and it's rough. Like, it's so nice to be able to come back home into that feminine energy and just relax. You feel comfortable, you feel safe, you feel warm. But you can just be gone forever when you reach that extreme.
Yeah. And there's a lovely sort of grounded confidence about a divine masculine too, which again, when that gets out of whack, almost can turn to arrogance. Again, there is that fine line.
Yeah, one of my favorite words is gentleman.
Yes.
Literally, gentleman.
Yes.
So he's got a balance of feminine energy, and he's still a man. So he's got his masculinity intact. And I think that's just a beautiful coalescence of words.
Yeah. What's your take, Dale?
I'd say it's finding the balance in between everything and finding the symmetry with everything, and kind of seeing a word or seeing a view, say masculine, feminine. It's about finding balance within the word and not being too, I'd say, polarized within it. For me, divine masculine means listening, respecting, loving, being there for someone, always on the other end of the phone when someone needs to have help, or you need to listen, you need to just chat about things. Protection in a way, because I believe certain friendships, when they hold a unique love space, like all of our friendships, we hold protection in some way around each other, because we're kind of expressing this kind of high energy, high frequency, and it's not perverted. And this is one of the main things I feel with divine masculine, is allowing perversion to come out of the word, because it is perverted, and there are many people who bastardize the word all the time, use it for their own cause, use it for their own narcissism. So I think it's like a gun, basically. You've got to look after it, not shoot it, at someone, but you've got to respect it. And that's, for me, it's always been about that. And the word divine masculine, for me now, it means a bit light worker salad now, because of so many things out there on Netflix. I know we had the Twin Flame series about, they were offering divine masculine as a package. So they were trying to make you prove yourself that you were divine masculine, or you needed a twin flame. So it's such a complex topic, isn't it, guys? There's so much things to talk about. So yeah.
Yeah. So what does it look like, apart from flowing robes and carrying a sword, when it gets out of whack?
Bro, man, check it out, bro. I don't know. I like to feel like it seemed like not to get right into the toxic masculinity, but it seemed like the toxic masculinity kind of hit a peak a little bit before the toxic femininity in my mind. Just in that 2015 era, just when drinking and college drinking was like a huge thing and cultural, at least in the Americas. I don't know if it was that crazy over there, but getting sloshed culture got pretty big.
Getting sloshed, I love that word.
Yeah.
And it really did make toxicity involved in it.
Yeah, having to drink to look good, or having to drink too much.
And that's what
you can take it. I can handle it.
Watch me do it.
as you fall flat on your face and throw up in the gutter. It's a really good look.
Yeah.
and that's it. Perfect, because that again is the perverted divine masculine, where you grow up as a male or female and you see that as like the thing to do, and people going out getting sloshed, getting hammered, it's a cool thing, going to the pub, being rowdy, getting a girl on as a one night stand. All of that thing is obviously not divine masculine, but that's what society tries to imprint onto us.
Yeah.
Seems like that's kind of when they both turn to extremes.
Yes.
You know, like just extreme masculinity and just extreme femininity. It was like, ooh, just, you know, kind of lose responsibility a little bit at that time, because then you could become really codependent because you don't have any of the opposite inherently inside of you any longer.
So let's talk about codependency, because a lot of people find themselves in relationships where they become codependent. So how does codependency connect to divine masculine and so on, Laura?
Well, I suppose you could take an example of like an empath, you know, maybe the perverted divine feminine, or the more extreme divine feminine, who goes too much into empathy, is then seeking what will turn out to be probably more of a narcissistic male energy, won't they? In those sort of energies, because they go in thinking that, okay, you know, I can love him better. We've had this sort of conversation before around this subject. And then the perverted divine masculine will abuse that energy. And it's just not a healthy exchange of energies. It's not a proper energy exchange, is it?
That's it. And Sean, anything you want to add to that?
Yes, like, because slightly different, but it made me think of like when people get that narcissistic energy coming in, it's kind of like the chosen one feeling, like what they've been chosen one.
Yes.
And that's when you know it's like really gone to an extreme. The narcissicity is coming in, and basically the train wreck's coming. Some sort of impending disaster, because you can't keep that up for so long until the reality kind of smacks you back into humbleness.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that's true. Yeah.
So why don't we talk about narcissism, guys? And so why do people become narcissists? Because that is something I've been learning over the last few years, and from clients and experiences, that it's interesting how people can choose that path of narcissism. So Laura, what, in your view, how do people become narcissists? What are some of the reasoning behind people turning in to that perverted frequency?
Right back in childhood, I think, where they feel an extreme loss of control and hugely embedded trauma, because I don't know that it is possible. I can say you can find more balance for it. I think you can. I'm not a specialist on this, but I think some narcissists is possible to get them more back into balance, even though they're still going to show some of those traits. But some, it's impossible. There's almost like this ego shell around, really toughened shell, that the more you try and, you know, do something about it, they are just going to toughen up even more, because it's a self-protection thing as well, isn't it? Something they haven't been able to deal with in childhood. Some, you know, that trauma goes so deep that it's their way of survival. Their way to survive in the world is to manipulate and all those other traits that go with narcissism. Belittle others, etc., make themselves feel better, feel bigger, because maybe they were shamed when they were little.
That's it, Laura. And time again, you see trauma happening at a young age, or even the trauma of their parents. And that's a lot of people become narcissists through their parents, because as they grow up, they see what it is to be a human in their eyes. If they become a psychic sponge at a young age, and they start going into their parents. And that's something I've had to, not say my parents were narcissists, but they did have narcissism tendencies, because that era of when they grew up, that was the reality. Like, all the teachers used to hit you, they used to beat you up, they used to slap you for saying the wrong things. That's what the world was. And it's like we're passing down the ancestral karma through the lineage, and it's something I had to work on, because even in my relationships I saw narcissism in myself. This was about 7-8 years ago. I saw aspects of myself which I needed to recover and heal. And if you do have those parts of you which are in narcissism and aspects, forgive yourself. Don't feel bad for it. There is ways to work on it so you can start releasing it more and more, because people run away from it. Like, look at our own programs. Some programs we hold are the narcissism parts of us. Sean, is there anything you want to add to that, brother?
Yeah, because we do see it often come from the parents and inherited trauma. But what we see is oftentimes we see the coping mechanism that they inherit from the parents. And that can just be obsessively control the surroundings to try to avoid looking at the initial trauma. So you see this, and then people get so good at the chess game, so good at the manipulation, that they're just constantly bending the reality by forceful will all the time and staying in control. And just to avoid to look at that trauma and let things happen naturally.
Yeah, that energy that needs to stay in control and use, really quite subtle manipulation
Yeah, like,
it's all survival, though. It's all a survival mechanism, isn't it?
yes, I also find that you see it often in people who grow up too quick. They take on responsibility too quick. They grow intellectually really strong, really fast. And then next thing it's like a kid who's just 100, 60 pounds more than all the other kids their grade. He can push them around, but he's doing it with his brain. And then you can, see start controlling groups of people. And then once you get ahead of the pack, you kind of stay ahead of the pack sometimes. And you stay in your own predicament, like just running away from the wave, but you get really good at it.
Also,
And
I
you,
think in men, sometimes narcissism can have like an alluring about it. Just from the point of view as they can have a charisma or a presence, because often in men they're very successful in business, aren't they? Because they're very strategic. That's part of the manipulation, that strategy. And I think, especially for like an empathic woman earlier on, I mean, I'm also talking about myself, you're sort of a bit bowled over by this. You don't see the arrogance, you see it as confidence, like I was saying earlier.
Quite a pheromone.
Yeah.
in time
Yeah.
and yeah, like you say, Laura, time and time again, there's that relationship with the empath and narcissist all the time where they get stuck in it. And that's something I've just had on one of my sessions, is someone who had a narcissistic relationship for 20 or 18 years, and the amount of damage it does to that soul from being in that relationship for so long requires the person to be able to go back and start fixing the past, because it's not just an easy thing to get out of something like that. Like the courage it took you, Laura, and what it took you to be here today, and the changes and the effort you put into yourself. It's a process, isn't it? Taking it step by step. And this lady, I'd say, I think for a long time, her heart was just broken. Like, as I was scanning and going back, there was only 24% of her heart actually in light. The rest of it was just full darkness. And throughout now, she's got in a relationship again, and now she's finding that she's able to free that dimness into light. So I've seen firsthand, really, from clients and so on, how damaging it can do for sex, especially sexual intimacy and stuff like that. If you have sex with a narcissist for a long period of time, it can affect your sex, so you can turn on and off, or all your sexual energies become strange. So say if you've been in a relationship with that narcissist, then you go into a relationship with someone who isn't, it can damage your sexuality. And I see that time and time again as well.
And you see all the there's so many unseen aspects to all of this that we're talking about. The
Yes.
psychic attacks from a narcissist as well. Something that doesn't make you feel good because they're really fed up, pissed off, inside that they haven't got their own way, or something hasn't happened the way they want it to, or they're not able to get the control. And all these thoughts actually form this sort of big, I've seen it at me, almost this big sort of ball of energy that hits you, and you have to handle that. So you're not only having to handle the seen world narcissistic energies, you're handling what comes to you in the unseen world. I didn't sort of appreciate that until a while later.
So what advice, Laura, can you give to those people who are in that situation where they've come out of a relationship with a narcissist and they're looking to heal and looking to the unseen aspects of everything? What advice can you give from your journey?
You're on a self-love journey then. And often if you've had the courage to leave a narcissist, I suppose you could apply it either way round, male or female, but you've got to rekindle that heart flame inside that says, I am worthy, because for so long you've taken on the imprint that you're not worthy. You've been gaslighted for so long. You start to wonder about about stuff that you remember one way. You think it was the right way, and you're told many times, no, it wasn't like that, and many other things like that. So it really is a journey of getting, because you lose some of your soul as well, with this, because you're taking on trauma too, and you're going into some of those manipulation energies, because you're trying to counteract their manipulation energies, and that's the only way in survival. That's another thing learnt in childhood, isn't it? That I used to carry on, I just resorted to that every time I couldn't cope. I went into those manipulation energies, and it's actually recognizing the programs when they come up, how you're reacting, getting that soul back in, getting that heart-mind connection, getting yourself grounded, and really that self-love of looking after yourself, going out there, doing something for yourself, taking up a hobby, something really creative. You've got to start proving to yourself how worthy you are, because you've forgotten that.
Beautiful, Laura. Beautiful. And there's someone in the chat who just said narcissistic possession. That is very, very true. Laura, Sean, do you want to talk about that?
I'll let you hit it again, Laura.
Narcissistic possession. Okay. So we're talking about someone who doesn't start off with the trauma, but later on they get possessed. Is that what that... I actually don't know what that means.
So I believe it's when they're talking about is when the partner starts feeding off you and has a way into you and can be able to go back and forth like an apple on a tree and just continue to take energy. Yeah.
That's related also to the psychic attacks. Yeah, but you do get all these feeding tubes, and you wonder why you're ill. You wonder why you don't feel well. You're not functioning at 100% because your energy is continually being siphoned off to support them and their needs and their arrogant needs, and they're continually taking from you to fill in all those gaps where they haven't bothered to face any sort of self-healing path at all. And of course, if you're an empath, it's all too easily given, isn't it?
Here you go.
Like, no boundaries. I'll just be the doormat. Yeah, here you have this because this is what you need, darling.
I kind of think of them like the archdemons or like the ghosts, and how we're talking about, like, they kind of build up the trust, and then they rip it all out right at once to get a really big energy out of it, instead of just slow milking. It's just like that little constructive control to one big bang.
Yes.
Yeah.
Big bang, the big bang.
I mean, narcissism is only one perversion of divine masculine.
Yes. So what can we go into next? What can be the next one we can talk about?
I'm curious, like, if you are going through some of your own narcissistic tendencies, how would you use divine masculine aspects to get out of it?
So
Dale?
I'd say if you're so, are you saying if you're a narcissist yourself and you awaken, then you
Well, like
talking about, is that what you're
kind of
trying to
like,
say?
like you said, like you went through some a bit like 8 years ago
Yes,
yourself,
yes, yes. Yeah.
Just-
Um,
and then rebalanced a little bit.
yeah, so it's basically inner work, and like Laura said, source connection, faith, love, not realizing that that part of you isn't you. And this, and for me, it was just about turning up for myself 6 days a week, making sure I did the actual work, starting to love people more, starting to listen to people more, just basically human skills, which I disconnected from a lot throughout my time as when I did addiction and stuff like that when I was a young age. I lost social skills. So just about respect, finding the right teachers out there who aren't in their ego, who don't talk about light worker bullshit 24/7, who actually talk about the mechanics of being a great human. So for me, it was just all about doing inner work, and like Andrew said, and thousands of shows talk about it, how to do it, how to bring the divine masculine back into you, how to revoke all the perverted parts of the divine masculine through revocations, prayer, daily practice. So for me, Sean, it's a number of things. Then throughout the years and years of me doing it, I look back and like, holy shit. And people say you've changed so much. You're a different person now. And that's just a message to everyone out there. You can change. If you're finding it hard, if you find parts of yourself that are narcissistic, you can change. Don't give up. Because a lot of people give up when they see a bit of shit about themselves. They're like, oh shit, we all have a shadow. We all have dickhead parts of ourselves. But we have to start bringing and remembering we're light in the light worker way. We are photonic beings of light, source connected, and we have to remind ourselves that in mantra or revocations or anything really.
So it sounds like the masculinity that does work, instead of just constantly hitting the wall over and over and over again, the work gets redirected to some place that's actually positive for growth instead of just over and over again.
Yes, I suppose that aligns with the divine masculine, the action, the need to take action, and related to the risks with that, isn't it? Having those as balanced risks rather than the sort of perverted divine masculine, which will be all gung ho.
Mm-hmm. I used to have a random question for you guys, just on the divine masculine, because it seemed like just in the culture in the last 10 years, like I was saying, like in 2015-ish, for me, it felt like the masculinity was getting really, really, really bad. And then the women started becoming over masculine. And so women were becoming so empowered that they were now 100% masculine and no longer feminine. And that caused a real pushback from the men.
Yeah.
Like kind of like how Andrew was saying the other day, how you're starting to see like men get custody.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more and stuff. But it seems like there's like a pendulum swing where a lot of the talks, like there's a balance happening, where just a lot of the, like we looked at the toxic masculinity so much in the past that it's kind of coming around a little bit, and people are like trimming some of the habits of what toxic masculinity was.
Yeah, I mean, we continue to see these pendulum swings, don't we? And until people start to do the inner work and really look at that.
And what is funny is, I'd say majority of people we meet, I'd say most of them, I don't know if you agree or not, are masculine orientated people. And that you find this time and time again, especially ladies you meet, and they're mostly masculine. There's probably about 10% of them feminine. And that's, again, is due to ancestral karma, the way we've been brought up, the conditioning and so on. It's interesting that, isn't it? And that's something I've had to look into, like, what am I? Am I mainly masculine all the time? And this is, I remember speaking about David Ellis about this, about just learning femininity as well when you're a male, learning the love, learning the touch, especially sexual experiences, allowing both of you to be in a co-creation, a loving space where you want to heal each other, not a perverted space. All of those things I've had to fine tune and really look into as well.
And allowing yourself to be vulnerable.
Yes, Laura. A man being vulnerable. And when I started doing that, that was
Baby.
the best thing ever. I was like, this feels fucking great.
Yes, I'm allowed to be vulnerable. I mean, especially over here, we have, well, maybe it's not just the UK, but there's very much, Andrew's always teasing me about the English stiff upper lip. You know, boys can't cry and all that. They're not allowed to be vulnerable.
Yeah, we got to play the role.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
In regard,
just a quick one back to narcissism, because this is just something I thought about earlier, was what about addiction then? Because that was the main thing for me, was a lot of times addictions in people are the narcissist running them, and that is a narcissism, the addiction. So how does that connect to narcissism, the addiction? What do you guys think? Because that's something I've seen time and time again, where the narcissism in the person actually is the addiction, and that's the part of them which is just toxic as hell.
Well, addiction to me is how you deal with pain, isn't it? And narcissism is also how you deal with pain. That deep embedded pain.
Beautiful. And guys, we have got some great comments in the chat tonight, should I say. We've got some really, really good comments. Should we go through some of them, Laura?
Yeah, if anyone's got any questions too, put them in there. I think Andrew will be on in about half an hour.
So we have from Eva.
I agree, Carolina, the divine masculine is heart-centered. And that's the other thing, isn't it? You know, they're not supposed to be. According to the media. They're tough without having a heart.
So from Jackie, at the end of the patriarchy, men will do well to use feminine attributes to change and grow into healing. Yes, very, very true. And that's something I've done as well. Allow myself to explore, like Laura said, the vulnerability of who you are, being touched, giving gentle touch, all sorts of things like that. Instead of the man with the hard hands, that's such a big concept, isn't it? When you get touched by a builder or some man and they've got fucking rock hard hands and they can't touch you softly. The karma of that is just...
Yes, the bricklayer. Yeah, that's so true, Jackie. It's being conscious of the strengths and weaknesses in both masculine and feminine.
So, why don't we do a bit of role play?
Okay.
So, who do you want to be? Sean, are you there? I think we've lost Sean. So who would you like to be, Laura? So we're going to be the perverted masculine speaking to the true masculine. Which one do you want to be?
Okay. I thought you were going to have the feminine side. Okay. So
well, you want to do that, what do you think will work?
We'll do both. We'll do that,
yeah.
and then we'll do the feminine bit as well. Okay. So who are you?
I'll be the
Oh, okay, so two guys at a pub having a pint.
I'll be the true sacred masculine.
As you are, Dale. Right. And you come in, okay, so we're at the pub. We've met for a drink, and you come in with a bunch of flowers. And are you there? And I say to you, what you got those for? Your bunch of flowers, yeah? You with me, Dale? Yeah? Okay.
Yes. Yes, I saw these flowers and they just reached out to me. There was an essence of true beauty within these flowers. I saw them and I've seen the growth within them and they make me feel good. So I decided to buy them and give them to you as a gift.
You're having a laugh, aren't you?
No, I'm not. Why? What's wrong with them?
I wouldn't be seen dead with flowers. Actually, it probably would be when I got them, was when I was dead. There's something wrong with you, mate. Here, have another pint.
Well, that does really hurt my feelings because I thought flowers were meant to be the emotional balancers of the self, and I'm very sorry you've been offended by that. Is there anything I can help you with or talk about? Because you're starting to be very rude to me, and I don't appreciate it.
No, I think you need to go and stand over there. I'm going to talk to the lads
Flowers.
now.
So
I'm off to play darts.
one second, I'm just going to get my friend Sean, who works with me. We work together in a business, just to come in. So, hello, Sean, are you there?
Yeah. Hey, Dale.
Hello. So,
I see you still got the
what's your
flowers.
concept on flowers? Do you like these flowers I've bought? Because
Oh, I love
this lady over here doesn't like them.
it.
Oh, I
Don't
was a
bring me into it.
man. I'm being
Sorry,
a man.
this man over here.
I'm the man. Sorry.
Yes.
No wonder
Sorry.
you thought it was odd. Okay. I'm
Oh,
being the perverted masculine.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought.
Okay. Glad
I
we
just got
got
the
that
words mixed up.
clear.
Yeah. So, Sean, what's your idea of flowers then?
oh, these flowers are lovely. They take so much time and care to grow, and they're so pretty.
And why do you think he doesn't accept them into his life?
Probably because thinks they cost a lot of money, and they probably can't use it right now, and they're just like a little band-aid.
Well,
But
I
they're so
just see them
pretty.
as being very, very feminine. And the lads I drink with, they wouldn't go and pick flowers.
So, what's your idea of feminine then? What does feminine mean to you?
Oh, something in a short skirt.
Do you not think that's putting a label on someone or belittling someone?
No, I don't think so, as long as they look nice for me.
Sean, have you got any questions for this, sir? I'm trying to be so nice, but I don't want
just, just seeing the short skirt.
to.
Okay, back to me. So,
Flowers.
yeah, so my guy would think you two were just a bit too feminine, had too much feminine energy, but that I'm looking at it from this guy's guy, sort of, a lad drinking at the pub.
And that's it. It's for a lot of people, that's what
Yeah.
masculine looks like. It looks feminine, doesn't it? True masculine looks feminine to all of the people outside the box who can't stand it. It really does.
Yeah, it does.
So specifically for
It
the
all looks
person.
feminine, even though it is masculine. For an outside of me speaking to you, Laura, and going through that, that's
Yes.
all I thought was I sound so feminine. But even if I'm speaking masculine, I sound feminine to you.
Yes, even me as Laura was having to actually really, really think about that because I'm just not used to that at all. Yeah, maybe it's just I've not come across it before, but I wonder what the chat thinks. Whether
Yes,
those two sounded feminine, over feminine.
I think I did. I just sounded. Sean, what do you think?
I thought you were because I came in midway through the skit, and I still thought you were just regular old Dale with a little strange.
That's a compliment right there. Thank you, Sean.
He's like, is playing a character. What's he playing? And we're in the role playing section of the show now.
Yes, we just
So,
need to establish the roles before we start, so we understand who we are meant to
yes,
be.
yes.
Okay.
So let's do one more role play. So what we're gonna do,
Yeah,
Laura,
let's do
you
it.
decide.
Okay, so what have we done? So we've done a lad. We've done a perverted masculine who's obviously verging on the sort of the extreme of being over masculine, and we've done two. Were you both divine You were both divine masculines,
Yes,
weren't you?
we were, darling. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
That was like creepy divine masculine coming in.
Yes. I just, I'm still a little bit troubled about that one. You might have to practice that one a bit more. Okay, so we want to do the what's another perversion of divine masculine? Or how about an undivine masculine with a divine feminine?
It's terrible. Perfect.
Yeah, go on, you two.
What, as in like, so a divine feminine, a true divine feminine with.
True divine feminine with
True
an
divine.
undivine masculine.
Okay.
Why is he still with him?
So a toxic masculine with a divine feminine, pretty much.
Yes, yeah,
Yes.
toxic.
Okay.
That's a better word.
Yeah. So
Undivine.
I'll be a toxic masculine.
Okay, go on, Sean. Yes, you can be the divine feminine.
Okay, let's go out on a walk. It's such a nice day today.
Just a
Let's
regular
go.
day.
Let's take some time off work. We'll get away from the kids and let's go down the beach.
I'm really busy today, unfortunately, mate. I don't feel like doing that. I've got kids to see, got a busy life. Yeah, it's just
Okay,
shit.
but maybe I can just help out with the kids a little bit more so you can get some time and get ready and then we can go.
Yeah, I think it's a bit strange that you want to come help me out like that when I don't really know you. So I'm sorry about that. I'm not going to be able to do that.
Oh, I'm just trying to help. But I get it. That's okay.
Shall I step in as the divine masculine who shoves the toxic masculine to the side?
Yeah, go.
I'll come for a walk for you. I'd love to do that.
Yes. Okay.
Where are we
Okay.
going? Where would you like to go?
Well, I know this spot and it's just a really nice spot. It's got really good nature. It's down by the water. And it's only like 25 minutes away from here.
Fabulous. Would you like me
And
to
I got
drive?
a car.
Do you
No,
want
I
me
got a
to?
car.
Okay. So you driving?
Yeah.
I'll come with you then.
We don't need anything. We'll just go for a little walk, have a little chit chat, and then,
So guys,
Okay.
I've changed my mind. I'll come. I'm going to bring the beers and I don't mind. Yeah, let's have some fun. I'll bring the beers and I'll bring the laugh because I think you both need a bit of laugh, a bit of banter.
All right.
Okay. Well, we're all invited.
More the merrier.
Okay, so you've got to back the car out of the drive. I'll just pop out and see if there's any traffic and help you out.
Thank you. Well, it's going to be a lot better with me coming, guys, because you two are very boring.
That's what he thinks. Come on, Pop Man, you ready?
Have you ever heard of banter?
Oh, what's that back there? What did you say? I'm getting pretty mad.
So I don't. Look, hold on a moment, guys. So this is an interesting one, right? So for me, like a gentleman, as somebody was saying, Jackie, she likes the idea of a gentleman. I do too. I like a guy who will open the door for me, even open the car door for me, or do something like help me back out of a driveway. Start just little things like that, which you do to help other people. Is that going too far as women concerned? Is that showing they're not independent if a guy does that? Or is it just like nice courtesy? Is it just like good manners?
Do you like it when they do it for you?
Yeah, I do. I
Then
like
it's good.
Yeah, having the door held open for. I mean, it's not that I wouldn't do it for a guy, but I do like it. Sometimes I get it. If I hold the door for a guy, he'll then let me go through first. I really like that. I really like having the car door open for me. I don't expect it, but I just think it is lovely manners. If you were divine masculine, is that something you do? Oh, sorry, you are. Is that something you do?
Wait, no, I was divine feminine.
No, in real life.
Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Okay. Right.
It's something. Definitely
Yes,
something to
I
do.
would. I would definitely hold the
Yeah.
door for you, but I definitely feel there needs to be an equal balance as well. Not just the man holding the door for the woman, but an equal exchange of both respecting each other. And if the other
Yeah.
needs a little bit of help, then yeah, of course I'll open the door.
I
Yeah.
like the joy you get back.
Yes.
That's when I find the loop. Like if you open it, you open that door, and that person just smiles and they're happy
Yeah.
about it, or you just feel
Yeah.
it, and it's like yes,
And
But
that's
there are times I think the feminine
man starts
do
to
appreciate they do appreciate things like that. It is
yes.
But
just for me it gives you that nice protective feel when you get a non-toxic or divine masculine doing that for you. There is that protective feel as they hold the door and you walk under their arm. I mean, maybe I'm just like, you know,
I think Laura just likes a handy man to come and
right, like
nail the back doors in now and then. I'm
it's,
joking.
it's called the
don't date
little
me if you're not
things,
going to hold the door open for me.
but they're little things, guys.
Yes.
You're doing little things for the person. You're not doing all the little things, and you're not doing all the things until they completely lose their independence.
Yeah, it's not about disempowering. It's just about honoring that aspect, the divine feminine or the divine masculine in the other person, isn't it? It's
So
honoring that part of them. It's like, like somebody lifting a heavy bag for me or something that is really too heavy for me to lift. That is just a nice touch.
So what about then a situation? What you're talking about? A lady going to the car door and waiting and looking at the man to open the door because she
Yeah.
expects that. Is what does
Yeah.
that
It's funny.
from
I
a
wouldn't.
neutral perspective? What does that
Yeah.
feel like, Sean? What does that look like?
Well, it depends. There's so many places
There
that you
is.
could take.
Yeah.
You could just open the door for her,
Yes. Yeah.
and then see how many times. Like, does she do this next time, and the next time, and the next time? And then I'm sure you have to change what you're doing. But
Yes, it's that not having that expectation, but I'm not saying it should happen all the time, but a nice touch that it happens sometimes. Because
Yes.
you don't
Yes.
want a guy who's going to be a doormat either. You don't want that sort of um,
and it's nice to have it
undivine
shaken up a little
masculine,
bit.
do you? But there is quite a fine line in this balance.
Yeah, like because like I've seen it before, and I've had it gone through the experiences where people can feel like you're taking their independence away,
Yes,
and then they push back
disempowering. Yeah,
because you're like, "What do you think? I'm a baby?" It's like
yeah,
push.
yeah, or treading on their journey and all sorts of other things. That's what I mean. It doesn't have to be all the time. It's just a nice thing to do.
It is, Laura, and I really like that the idea of that, and sometimes both doing it, or even the male doing it, just to make the lady feel comfortable and appreciated. I think that's important.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm like that. I like to do that too when I do that to open the door or do something just in that nice way because it just makes you feel good, doesn't it? Without
Yeah.
the pervertedness or the need for anything, it just you just feel like I'm sure you, Sean, with your girlfriend, you like doing stuff like that just to make her feel appreciated because there's that love there and it's important to express it.
yeah, someone going out and doing something just for you. Of course, that's going to make you feel good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially
Absolutely.
if they're in a balanced state and
Mm,
they haven't done it so many times that they have deteriorated their health.
mm.
It's like
Their arm hurts, have broken the arm from holding everything.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
like yes, honey, I'll do it, honey. It's like the life is gone because they lost their own independence to someone else,
Mm.
Yes.
and
And
that happens quite frequently. But if they still take care of themselves,
so let's have a situation and talk about this because this is something what happens, especially from the boomer generation. Is I've seen this time and time again is that someone goes in a relationship where they're codependent, and all of a sudden that codependency ends, and the lady usually this is what because it was a male society, say 50 years ago, the lady can't do anything. She can't pay the bills. She has
Mhm.
lack in self worth. let's talk about that, because that is huge. A lot of people deal with that, where their husband dies or they go through a divorce later on and they're like, holy shit, I can't do anything. I've
Yeah,
had this one person just holding me together.
Here, here's your mitten.
they've kept themselves in being ignorant of how to actually manage life. And you should be able to manage yourself, manage your own finances, all the things, right? I know that sort of in my generation, it was that sort of the men, we call it the blue jobs and the pink jobs. And sometimes we still have them, like, yeah, the men take the bins out and the women don't do the bins. But I think, certainly like with my parents and that generation, you're right. It was, and then suddenly the woman's on her own and hasn't a clue how to do anything. And that's just so disempowering, isn't it? And that's part of the patriarchal society.
It's like they've been going in a direction for a really long time without any course corrections.
And the positive thing coming out of that is the generations are changing, where females have exactly the same rights as males, and they become entrepreneurs as well. And so I guess that will slowly come out of the generation. And some of the things we did when we were younger, the generations now are so different, aren't they? From when it was 20 years ago, 10 years ago, when computers came around, like all the kids on the iPhones becoming tech wizards and stuff like that, while the baby boomers are kind of like with the huge phones, with trying to figure out the numbers and like literally like, it's very, very interesting to say the least.
But the equality thing takes divine masculine and feminine out of kilter as well at times. I'm not saying we shouldn't have equality, but there's some jobs that I can't think of one now. Maybe there's some jobs that only men can do and some jobs that only women can do. I don't know. Surely, like, if you're lifting really, mind you, there are strong women out there who can probably lift as much as a guy,
Can do, will do, and want to do.
Yeah.
It's slightly different.
Yeah.
Like, and in there, like, do you want to work at a sewage treatment plant? Like, do you want to walk through like human feces and water? Like, do you want to, do this and get stuff all over your face and ruin your physical appearance? Like, there's just and it seems that men will have a more tendency to do those rougher
Yes,
jobs.
it doesn't mean that women aren't as capable or men aren't as capable in a woman's type of job. It just sometimes is what is more suitable, isn't it? What works best.
Yes.
Yes, and I as most people know, if they've known me for a little bit, I've been a carpenter, and I've always been a shorter guy. And when there's a shorter guy, there's always a taller guy. And some taller guys just do certain things, and some short guys ended up getting stuck doing certain things. Like if there's a small space, you can't stick a 300-pound guy in there. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So you kind of get stuck with like what's your role, like what you can do.
Yeah.
Like you try to take a 120-pound woman and put her on a 100-pound jackhammer, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't, men sort of modeling women's lingerie isn't going to work. So there are specific jobs for.
That's what you want to know, darling.
But it's nice, like with what Dale was saying, is that there's equal opportunity now. That if you really want to do it, you can go do it. Mm-hmm. There's nothing stopping you. You just got to stick your mind to it, put your heart in the game, and you will be doing that dream later. Mm. But sometimes, because we're going through a learning process, you might not know what your dream entails yet, or you might. That's like part of the fun. You get there and then you see what it is, and if you like it or not.
So, what is it? Going to another perversion. So we have the warrior energy in the divine masculine, which for me is like peaceful warrior mostly. That's how I sort of interpret it. What is it? What are the energies that drives it into war or aggression? What are the energies behind that? Where has that become perverted? Patriotism, because that spread, through the media.
That is a big philosophical question right there.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
when is war not the experience you choose, or it's the experience that's being forced upon you?
yeah.
Yes.
And
Again, that's
karma as well. Yeah.
the nature of the game that we're in. That's a tough question.
Mm.
Well,
And obviously, we say no to it and accept our responsibility to.
Mm-hmm.
But some people want to play war.
Yes, and that's it. Is like even doing past life sessions and the many kind of connection points I see in past life regression sessions is people being martyred, going for war. 9 times out of 10, they're going to die, and they die in that war, and they say, I've been a martyr and a zealot this lifetime. I gave my life for no reason at all. And like Laura said, it is all to do with the system, and war's been here since, I guess, the beginning of Earth, hasn't it? And there's been galactic wars. But when's the fine line of choosing to be a peaceful warrior? And this is something I heard from Jamie Sams, which completely changed my perspective on warrior. It's like, for me, a warrior is someone who can withhold peace but have strength, and not to kind of like give themselves and be a martyr or a zealot, or kind of, do you get what I'm saying, guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Absolutely.
about that philosophy all the time. It's like you're even just coming to Earth. No, I can't do it right now. But I am 100%. It's like even just almost coming here is almost being a martyr, but it's not. Like it's easy to become one because it's easy to get stuck. It's just so easy to get stuck and completely forget who and what you are, which is kind of like the definition of a martyr. But we can get through it and remember. Like we can get through it and be a warrior, like a peaceful warrior, like Laura was saying.
Mm-hmm. And this goes along with man's connection to his heart space too, which is something that seems to be not happening in childhood. Again, it's related to that stiff upper lip and the vulnerability thing and all that, isn't it? Little girls draw hearts, little boys don't tend to.
I can count my I don'ts. Like
Yeah.
when I was little, I don't draw. I don't do art. I don't sing, maybe I kind of do. I don't stretch. I'm not flexible. I actually said these things out loud to myself and like in my mind over and over and over again. So many, and there's probably more.
Yeah.
It's like I was just raised not to like that, or my cousins didn't like that. And yeah, it really does shape you. The things you say, I don't do that. I don't like that. I don't like pink. I don't like purple. I didn't like pink or purple. How
Yeah.
can you not like two colors? Like, systematically, okay, well, there's 10 colors and I like 6 of them, so those are no longer options. Like, it's so polarizing when if it gets out of control.
So, Dale, how do you teach men to find their heart space? Because I know, because women work from within, that it's more of a natural thing for women.
I'd say teaching them the remembering of who they are at their soul core. A lot of parts of them have been forgotten, and that's throughout my journey what I see life is all about. Remembering again, remembering the truth of who you are, allowing yourself to come out of the land of forgotten and be remembered again. And this is going and connecting to the contract revocation Andrew did, the what's it called, the mandala effect, and talking about that, the remembrance and connection point to remembering all of those ancestors who were forgotten. I see that, and I help people. That's for me, helping people do that, remember who they are, because everyone can hold peace, be a peacekeeper, peacemaker. And that's for me, is teaching people to do that step by step, learning soul surgery skills, learning inner work skills, learning ceremonial skills, what's needed in the moment for the client, because everyone's different of how to find their path to peace. One person might find it in a way of music, one person might find it in a way of dance or martial arts. So for me, it's about individually speaking to a client, reading them, understanding how I can give them the roadmap back to the remembering. And when they start going on that path of the remembering, more and more gifts come to them, more synchronicities come to them, until they get to the point where they don't need assistance as much. Like like I did when I got to that stage where I didn't need as much help. I still get help, I still get sessions and teachers and stuff like that, but it got to the point where I could walk on my own with peace and not allow people to change me in any way, shape, or form, and realize that no one's above me, no one's below me. We're all on this one line together, this one circle, and I have to respect people. Like I respect you two and Andrew and all my amazing friends and family around me. And I think that's something to teach people: respect and honesty, being honest with people, stop the lying. If lying's something which you keep on continuing to do, just stop doing it and become honest, become peaceful. Many different ways, Laura, I think, to explain that. It's a great question. What about yourself?
I don't know whether it's putting men more in touch with their emotions if they've lost touch with their heart. But again, yeah, it would just be repeating what you said. It's men can do the inner work as well.
And that's it. And you see, unfortunately, you see it in events where you go to an event and you see mostly women. This happens all the time. My events, I have events and there's like 15 ladies and one guy. And when there's one guy, I'm like, yes, hello, we did it, baby.
We crossed the line into the 7%.
So again, that connects to masculinity, doesn't it? And toxic masculinity, that it is harder for men through statistics. What have been shown is for them to find spirituality and love again. It's much harder because of the brainwashing.
Yeah. And yeah, I like that, Carolina. Yeah, remembering the adventurous boy. Absolutely. Remembering how you used to feel as a kid. Connecting to that joy and that fun and all of that.
Beautiful, Carolina, beautiful. Remembering you're the inner child and going back to the serious stick up your own ass, removing that, having fun. Like today, earlier in a session, I was seeing someone on a swing, just as a kid, going backwards and forwards, carefree. And that's important. And that's something I do in my relaxation process. I get the client to go on a swing in a park. And you should see the face when they start going back and forth. They're like, holy shit, this is available to me now.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Or jumping in puddles.
Yes, yes.
We had this swing set, and it was one of those swing sets that like had like a teeter-totter on it, a slide, and a couple swings. And it like had like the legs. And whenever you started swinging, the whole thing would start like tipping off the legs. And then you see, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you swing and it would just kind of woo, woo. And it was just so much fun playing with it.
Yes. Carelessly playing with your inner child and joy. And that's something that, again, is something I had to deprogram from myself, playing with the kids. I used to have not things against it, but I didn't do it as much. But now I can just turn it on where I'm the child again with them and have fun. And a lot of people don't realize how important that is for the future generations, to see the older, us, the elders, having fun, being children. That when they see it, they're like, holy shit, what are you doing? I love this. Like, you're not the serious fucking adult. You're a child. Like, yes, I am. I'm still a kid.
One of the biggest blockages I see with that is physical pain. And as people heal their body and take the pains out of their body, they'll naturally start to play more and more every day. That's why the body work that we always go on about is so important. Because when you get the traumas out of the body, you feel less pain, you feel good. And then when you see someone doing something fun, you just start playing with them.
Well, yeah, you're getting rid of the programs that for whatever reason tell you can't do that. You're not worthy of that, you're too old, and all the other stuff. And then
every time you move in that direction, you get the pain, and then it just stops the person. And it's just constant distraction.
Yes, yes. And you meet those people, don't you, who are so fucking stiff. And you literally just want to go up to them and poke them and start poking the sides and trying to make them laugh. You're like, you serious motherfucker? Like, come on, man. You're not fucking made of concrete. Like,
I think it's a toxic masculinity again, that often a lot of women have, that especially older women but men too, is working through the pain. Just
Yes.
constantly just
Good
working through
one.
the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the time. Just work right through it. Never feel it. It's like, no, I don't feel anything. You know,
Yeah.
they lift up their feet. They got like, you know.
Yeah. Ignoring it. Yeah.
My dad was like that. Every time you asked him how he was all right. Okay, that was it. Never said anything else, but I'm okay. Even when he was ill, yeah, good. I'm good.
Program.
So we have Amy here. Yes, I had the same swing set, Sean. I was going to make a funny joke about swinging then, but I didn't bother.
Ours was blue. I don't know if it had a little elephant on it, but could have been my imagination.
I want to tickle them. We've all had that, right, haven't we? Where we've seen someone so serious, and you're just like, "Please, I want to go up to you and just start giving you tickles to fucking make you laugh."
I want to send a props out, and I want to send a props out to all the good dads out there, and just the dads out there, and that good masculine energy. Because my dad built us a tree fort, and I tell you what, well, I built my brother a tree fort, and I inherited it, and it was so much fun. Like having a tree fort, like that is just the best. There's like we played all sorts of games in that thing, and we even played war. Lots of war. There were pine cones and chestnuts, and it's good fun. You just know when it's fun, and you know when it's crossed the line out of fun into, oh shit, you're trying to hurt that person. You're not trying to just play. Because in good play, accidents always happen.
Yes.
But sometimes it just, we've all done it. We've all aimed a little bit in the wrong spot on purpose. And we feel bad about it. We learn from it, hopefully.
No, that reminds me of, so I spoke to a friend who I used to play games with a long time ago, and he's got kids now, and I messaged him, and I told him I'm on this game because he used to play it with me, and he messaged me back saying, "Oh no, I don't have time, I've grown up, I've got kids now. That was something I did when I was a kid." And I was just like, you're just like, oh, like sometimes playing a video game with your friends is just having innocent fun, and it's so important. And that might be a question for everyone to ask themselves. Where do I have my fun? Where do I turn off from spirituality and just enjoy having fun? Because I had a session with Andrew a long time ago, and he asked me that, and I didn't know what to say. He was like, "What do you do for fun?" I was like, "Meditation, light working." I know. So I had to go out and learn how to fucking have fun. Like, just have a laugh, play chess or whatever, play with balls, whatever you want to do. But can you express it and enjoy it without being so serious about spirituality and so on?
I love it. And I love when you get asked those questions that completely blue screen you, like freeze you. Like you're just like, that's like, oh, fuck, he got me here. Because it's like you can't even talk. And it's usually something really simple that just we're no longer able to even compute the answer.
We have that time. We've had that on Combine, loads of different sessions where we ask them, "What do you do for fun?" They're like, "Meditation, going for a walk." And we're like, "Oh."
What got me is like what can your loneliness tell you about your loneliness? And I was like,
I'm good with those lines, aren't I?
Oh, there he is.
What do you do for fun that isn't spiritual? Nothing.
Yeah.
Andrew, what do you do for fun? What's not spiritual?
Does it involve?
I play video games. Hold on. I play video games. I go out to the bar. I used to go out to movies until Disney and the woke community killed the movie industry. Okay. I read books. I write stories. I do all sorts of things. I fish a couple times. I used to fish 7-8 times a year. Now maybe only once or twice a year. I have plenty of hobbies that I go out and do, and that I know will recharge the batteries inside me if I just go do them and stop being a prick to myself.
So we'll welcome Andrew to the show. How are you doing, Andrew?
Good. How you doing?
Yes. So we've been doing role play. So Laura, do you want to tell Andrew about the role play we've been doing? It's been hilarious.
Hold on one second. So Sean, those blue screen questions, how many have I gotten you on?
At least 5.
At least 5.
And
I love
you can
blue,
even
I
you
love
can even
blue
ask the
screen.
same question again 3 times, and it'll still.
I love blue screening people.
I fucking hate the blue screen, but it's like it always
And for you millennials out there, that's when Windows would fail 4 or 5 times a day. You get the blue screen, and then your hard drive was fucked. Corrupt your hard drive.
Yeah, I think they call it the blue screen of death.
Yes.
Death.
Which officially ended with Windows 8, but you still got blue screens of death even in Windows 10.
Yeah, I just saw it on, like, a friend showed me his laptop. I was like, I haven't seen that in a while.
All right, so tell me about your role playing.
Well,
So
is it Dale in high heels?
Yes, it was. So firstly, I was being the divine masculine, and Laura was being the toxic divine masculine. Then Sean was off for a bit. Then Sean came back on. Then we switched it around, didn't we? Where I was the toxic masculine. Laura, what was the reverse then? What were you?
I was divine feminine. And
yeah,
she was
you were the divine toxic masculine, and Sean was the divine feminine, and I was the divine masculine coming in. Yes. That was quite fun.
So, Andrew, what does divine masculine mean to a galactic historian? Because we firstly asked questions for each other, but I'd like to ask you from galactic historian's point of view.
All right, so divinity itself means one who has secured their faith with such strength and purpose they can pass on that strength and purpose to others without martyring themselves. That is divine. As a masculine, it's a go out and search energy. Women naturally find within. Masculines are searchers, seekers, wisdom understanders, channels of wisdoms, volumes of information, spreading, passing, moving along, discovering. A woman can do that too. Anybody can do that, okay? It's a matter of choosing it as a divinity path where you're secure in your faith and the power that comes with that so that you could pass it on without martyring yourself. That's divine masculine. We don't see divinity beings in our world. We don't. Why? Because oftentimes they get stuck in martyrship. Because so many people are so depressed, so broken, so suppressed by society that they are energy suckers and vampires, which pulls divinity down to its finite levels once again. Pow.
Mic drop it.
The whole show best bit is just there.
Clip that.
I got a flat tire. My wife left me.
You
I'm
put
no
the
longer
GH on stand, GH speaks.
So let's go into more of why society has held it down then, Andrew. Do you feel that's just it's engineered or kind of imprinted onto us from past life? Because that's initially what the system and the control here is trying to do, isn't it? It's trying to suppress it at such a point that you're so scattered and you forget who the fuck you are. And you're just trying to figure it all out in this hairball.
Okay. So before we blame the past life, blame the present life.
Yes.
And before we start using blame for anything, see it as without blame, without shame, and without guilt, without envy, desire, or greed either. See it for what it is. This lifetime, what did I do to fuck myself up?
What? It's not all about past lives, is it?
Right.
I'm being the toxic masculine, the light worker masculine here.
Yes.
I thought it was all past lives, man.
Let me tell you, there was a while in the career where I'd get four depressies in a day, and I come on to a Thursday show and get another 4 depressies, followed by one diamond in a rough that allowed me to survive another week. I got so good at flipping the depressies around, okay? Turning their heads upside down and inside out until they weren't depressed. And as soon as the phone called in, like, what did the guy do to me? I can't be depressed now. It's all my choice and will. No! And then they reject it. Okay?
And that's what I remember from sessions with you a while back. I was like that. Not depressed. I wasn't depressed, but I just had such a... Every time I spoke to you afterwards, I remember saying how fucking uplifted I felt. Like every session I had after I spoke to you, I felt so inspired that I felt like there was this soup over me. But when we had a session, all of a sudden, it wasn't you who was doing. It was just I saw that point of view because you helped me guide me to it. Then it was after that I started to learn how to do it myself, and that was interesting. That and all to do with words, and like you say, that you are the grandmaster of the obvious, and that's all it is. Just bringing that grandmaster of the obvious teaching back, because some of the shit I found myself in, there was so simple ways to get out of it, but I couldn't see it.
Why couldn't you see it? Why couldn't you see it?
Because I was lost in programs. I was lost in myself. I never had time to really relax. Really,
because you didn't have a hobby.
There you go. Yes, there you go.
I had my addictions.
Yeah, but you didn't have a hobby.
No, I didn't. Sean, have you got any questions for Andrew about the divine masculine while he's on?
Yeah. Like, what do you think about like the role? You kind of see more acceptance and just talk about like alpha male and beta male these days, and just like
yes, but that's politicization of masculinity and femininity. They want beta males, meaning they don't want people to be rednecks anymore carrying guns. They want the rednecks to become beta males. And they're trying to force that early in society to take that rebel energy away that most men and women have in their young teens. And they want to browbeat them down early with politics and subjective matters that make them lose their potentiality.
So what do you think will come out of this this situation of just this
a generation of really fucked up people, way worse than the boomers who got the shit beat out of them as part of their growth.
So
boomers got the belt and the fist. Okay, what are the millennials gonna get? And the alphas that come after them? No discipline, no nothing, no real education, no masculinity, no femininity, no gender.
So you're saying a loss of structure and a little bit of chaos.
Yes.
Just chaos.
And it's going to take which generation to fix it? The Zs, the Gen Xers.
The people who are adults? At the
people who are my age now, the Gen Xers.
Yes, the ones who are carrying the responsibility.
The ones who picked up from the idiot hippies from the 60s who thought the world was going to be perfect, that you could trust the government.
I thought Kumbaya was going to, if we all sang it at the same time.
Didn't work, did it? Fuck those hippies.
Yeah.
Okay? All those hippies are Democrats right now, screwing the world up by wanting to have LGBTQ relationships in third grade.
Yeah, all you need is love, Sean.
Sure.
God.
And a paycheck to pay for stuff.
Yeah.
Because I saw that generation, I was like, oh, that was for like, it took me like 15 years to be like, I thought that was the generation. And I was in a wrong generation. Mm-hmm. So somehow I was taught to believe that I was just in the wrong generation, which is not the greatest thought to have.
Nope, it means you're out of society. You're not an anachronism.
You're at a sink. You're living in the past, man. And there's a lot of people who have been out of like just living in the wrong generation. that are kind.
Like Kimberly was asking, you ask people to point into the north and they can't do it. That's how much loss of common sense there is between generations. Okay, so
The
do you
simple
guys know about the Apple 3D glasses that have recently come out?
yeah.
Nope. What's that?
I don't know what they're called.
$3,000 virtual reality glasses that do virtually nothing. No one's big platforms picked them up. Okay. Now you are seeing people walking around the world, real world, with VR glasses on, stopping in the middle of traffic, doing their shit on the screen, people driving in their Teslas while playing a piano on autopilot.
Wow.
People on a bus typing in the air and having no idea what's going on around them. Is that not a disconnect from reality?
A little bit of dysbiosis.
Yes.
Just a wee bit. How do you help those people?
You can't until they help themselves. Until they actually want to connect to society again. It's like phones and everything like that.
How do you help the 19-year-old girl who's had a phone since she was 12 and can't live without it? Her personality will fall apart without it. Or a boy.
It's a very
Anyone
good
ever
question.
see those YouTube videos, parents taking away their kids' cell phones and watch the meltdowns?
It happened, and they took the computer away from me once, and I was like 13, and I can only imagine. I only had the computer for 8 years or something. Like no, like not very long, not my whole life, and it's drastic.
Yeah.
It gives the parents
The ones where they take the phone and then they smash it right in front of the girl, or they do that to somebody's Xbox. The world ends. But that's the delusion. They live in that world.
I had a delusion break one time where essentially I just realized that I couldn't be doing these. My uncle was on a hammock and I was like 6 and he's trying to have a nap. And he said, "Stop pushing me. Like I'm trying to have a nap." And I was like, hey, 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 hey. And then finally he said, "Can you swim, Sean?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can swim." And he picked me up, chucked me in the pond. I was like, just like my Xbox would have been shattered or something. I was just like, what? Can this even happen?
And if you did that to a millennial or somebody in the Alpha clan right now, you'd go to jail.
Yeah, I hope
You realize that you'd go to jail. They know their fucking rights. Okay,
especially if it's a stranger who throws your kid in the water, but just instead of an uncle.
You'd still go to jail. Child abuse.
Yeah, but it was such a good lesson. Because I was bugging them. I was just bugging them.
Okay. Do you know what a struggle session is?
A session, as in like
struggle session.
No.
I highly advise everybody right now to open up a search engine and type in struggle session definition. Dale, read it out loud.
Okay. 1 second. So, struggle session. Meaning. So, struggle sessions are rallies where violent public spectators in China were.
No, not it.
That's not it. No.
It'll be there tomorrow now.
It's all coming up with China stuff here.
Yeah, it is on mine as well.
Struggle sessions, corporate America. They're trying to take the search engine, that search word away because it's a really bad subject matter right now.
You can't see. Can you find anything, Laura? I can't see anything.
No, it just can't. No.
Yeah.
A psychological warfare designed to shape public opinion. Is that it?
Okay. A struggle session is when somebody is in the office that has a right-wing view and everyone else is left-wing. And you may have a political idea that you're like Trump, but you don't talk about it. And everyone else is extreme left-wing Joe Biden. And because you don't abide by their rules, you offend them by just existing. And they insult you for an hour and a half until you agree that you're a bad person. And if you don't, you get fired. That's a
So
struggle
when-
session.
So when was this introduced?
It's 2017.
Wow.
And you
Who
wonder why
introduced-
the vast majority of people are leaving corporate America.
That happens systematically, or it just happens?
When DEI took over, diversity, equity, inclusionary.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. Yeah, it's a. But wait, so that just literally, so that like the higher ups make that happen, or just kind of like.
Just understand how DEI took over the corporate world. If you have a high DEI rating, you get a higher buyer credit rating and better lending from the top 5 groups that own $2 trillion or $7 trillion of the economy. If you don't have a high DEI score, they treat you badly and you get terrible rates and don't get good stuff because they basically force you to follow DEI or your corporation will be blackballed. That's what DEI is. So what that means, diversity, equity, inclusion needed to have somebody at an office who was of LGBTQIA plus and disabled and all these other things as a part of the office, but have no skill set, no actual real job. They're just there to be a DEI hire. Oftentimes people who were hired right out of college who had a gender studies degree. Why does a person with gender studies degree need to work at a bank?
Right. So they're kind of
any other high-level corporate office.
Correct.
So
Same thing with Hollywood, which then forced all the major corporations to add another 20% to their workforce. So all of a sudden the office was packed full of DEI candidates, hirees, who did nothing actually in the office but caused trouble.
20% more who couldn't do the job.
Right. So so now corporate America has 20% overhired people who have no purpose in the job in their corporation.
Right. So that's a hell of a massive influence campaign.
Sure.
If it's
That's why you see big corporations support these big organizations, LGBTQIA. First thing first, I'm a very big supporter of LGBTQIA, but don't force your beliefs on me. Okay? Unfortunately, that's what DEI does. If you don't agree with what we say, you're the enemy.
So
for the aggressive sessions.
So for the struggle session, Andrew, who brought that in? Who
the DEI people.
Ah, okay.
Remember, they have no real purpose other than to scold people.
Yeah. Wow.
It's so fucked up.
They would be attached to human resources who decide who's hired and fired.
That's just influence on a massive, massive scale.
That's like political. That's your psyop. Your political.
That's an expensive psyop.
No, it's not. It was very easily done. They put all the colleges and universities to go extreme woke, extreme left, and that's what they graduated for the last 15, 18 years.
Right. Like, I mean, it beats putting out a few memes or about like a meme army or something.
Well, no, there was absolute influence by BlackRock, Megacorp, all the big mega banks to make this happen. Basically, they blackmailed the corporate 500 world, the Fortune 500 companies to take on DEI, or they would be blackballed by all the top 5.
Now, why do you think Disney stinks more than the rest of them?
Because they hired 10 times the amount of DEI people and put people into positions who had zero experience to do anything, and they were running $200 billion movies.
Yeah, their movies do suck.
There's a reason why. They fired all the people who knew how to run a film, how to keep it in budget, how to write a story, how to
a couple
manage
weeks
people.
ago, I did watch Miss Marvel, and it looked like it was so cut up and put together. I was like,
Right.
this is like all-time bad.
Did you know Miss Marvel was reshot 3 separate times, and that's all they could come up with? Okay, the new Captain America movie is on its second reshoot. It's going to be a $500 million flop. Okay?
But like, how far do the wallets go? Like, you know,
not that far. Okay, right now Disney's being bent over by Ike Perlmutter and a couple other people who are trying to do basically a hostile takeover of the board. And Elon Musk is a part. Musk is a part of it too. Corporate Hollywood failed so bad this year; they had 21 flops of over $350 million movies. Okay, they can't survive anymore. They can't get loans anymore. The DEI money's run up, but they're still bloated, full of these people who have no idea what to do. So they would have to literally purge the entire management system and start over. And if that were to happen, the way corporate Hollywood works, it takes 5 years from a movie to go from idea to film.
Not to mention, like, the mind viruses linger around a little bit.
Sure, but that's supported by the social media warfare system. Okay, if the social media warfare system wasn't so in your face, the DEI could be positive for everyone. But they're militarizing people against each other.
Like, you know what I watched again some places do it. I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once again.
Great movie.
And just they had, because like they had the daughter who was like, you know, with another woman. Yep. And you can see it happen, and it just had no shock appeal. It's just, you just accepted it because it was good writing and a good story.
Right. What was it in the South Park, the Panderverse? Okay. Make her a girl and turn her into a girl and turn him into a girl and make her gay. That's the big line that came out of it. That's what you see. Disney took over a boy brand and of Star Wars and tried to turn it into a girl brand. And they wonder why no one bought it. Why no one liked it. Because it was never meant to be a girl princess brand.
Yes. And that's the tough part, because it's not even like they try to put the femininity in the talks, like in the masculinity.
You can't just gender swap everybody. No. Make your own product. You bait and switched everyone so many times that they stopped watching your billion-dollar movies.
What about, did.
Can I ask both of your opinion on Star Wars Episode 1? Because that was still George Lucas, wasn't it? That he did.
I was a kid, man.
What did you
like? All the Lucas stuff is awesome. Anything Disney did with Kathleen Kennedy, terrible.
Yeah.
Like, it still had that space feeling, but I was swayed because, like, literally cans of Pepsi had little Anakin Skywalker on it, and so they won me over.
Here's an example for you. The first trilogy and prequel that Lucas did, it was a $10 billion toy industry per movie. The first Star Wars movie Disney did, it did less than $1 billion in toys. Each movie did $10 billion in toys. You add up all 3 Star Wars movies that Disney has done, you've done a little over 1.5 billion, like 1.65 billion in toys, when they should be at 30 billion in toys. That's how much of a flop it was in the rest of the world.
You'd think those DEI inclusion monies, they'd figure out that they'd make more money just from the toys than bending over.
Sure. But all the toy manufacturers became DEI at the same time. Okay? You fired all the people who knew what they were doing and replaced them with college-level people who were getting paid 1/4 of what the other guy was being paid for. What did you think was going to happen? Complete and total failures.
You think some resurgences have to happen where some people start getting really creative and start putting together some really cheap budget material and film that it just...
Sure, but the secondary market for movies has been destroyed. There are no secondary markets anymore. Got to realize what the streaming wars did. You used to be able to make a movie for $12 million and release it in the theater and make 45 million off of it. You don't do that anymore. There are no secondary markets anymore. Now, secondary markets will return because basically Hollywood's in a pickle right now. They can't figure out how to convert the stuff that's been in the pipeline for 3 years or 5 years so it's watchable to the rest of the world. Okay? They're going to continue to put out flop after flop and go out of business.
I'll tell
That
you,
means the secondary market now actually has a chance for success. And that means the big studios will just invest into other people outside of their own studio while they're retooling the studio, firing the people who have no idea what they're doing and rehiring the people they fired 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
people who know how to stick to a budget.
Yeah.
Eh?
And make cinema.
And people who know how to use a camera.
Mm.
You know, I don't know if you remember, it was about 6 weeks ago. They wanted to make this Pakistani lady the new director for the new Star Wars that was going to come out under Disney. You know, she's never been to film school, has never directed any movies, only documentaries. And they were going to give her $250 million budget to do Star Wars.
Wow.
Which would have been a $600 million budget by the end of the thing.
Okay, because they don't actually come in with a plan. That's the other thing that Hollywood's done. They stopped coming in with plans. They filmed it and realized it sucked at the end and reshot it. That's why all their movies are so expensive.
And suck, because you can actually tell when a person's story hasn't came through in the piece. Like when it's just nothing's coming together, really.
Yeah, it's terrible. Terribly written.
Yeah. I actually saw like a cool thing. Like there's a guy who he's got one of the best AI YouTube channels that I'm forgetting his name right now. But he's been working with Pixar.
Yep.
And like they made like an AI system where teaching people like how to learn how to draw and just make a story and a storyboard.
Yep.
It's actually really cool. Like they still have teachers at the end, but they made a special feedback system where people learn really fast and there's a really good success rate. So I hope good stories come back is what I'm trying to say.
That have to come back. Okay.
What, guys,
good story.
How good was Avatar though? What about Avatar? I thought that was incredible. Like,
yeah, but that's separate.
Yeah,
yeah, you gotta wait.
That's done by an artist who knows how to do movies.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm sick of Marvel movies. I can't watch them anymore. It seems terrible to me there's about hundreds and hundreds of them. They just keep throwing them out, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, and there's worse ones coming out. Wait till you see what's slated to come out this summer, which are all going to be canceled and try to reshoot them.
I watched Aquaman 2. I told you about that, Andrew.
Yes.
Like, it was such a weird film. Like, it felt wrong. Like, you seeing Amber Heard, in quite a bit of it. I was like...
Did you not feel right away, like, whose idea was it to bring the exact same villain back? Like, they brought the same villain back from the first movie.
Because they couldn't hire anybody and reshoot it fast enough and add the graphics to it. So they had to have graphics that were pre-done for another villain. Got to understand how Hollywood works. Like, those graphics take years to do.
I actually thought,
am I watching in 16 weeks, 15 weeks on shoot?
Oh yeah, they just can't do it. Crazy how they used to make a Pixar movie in a year.
Yeah.
What do you think to like Netflix then and Amazon Prime? Do you think that obviously that must be damaging the movie industry with all the the streaming services online? Because
no, it's the lack of creative people who know what they're doing destroying the industry.
Yeah,
who have been put in high-level management and show producers positions when that used to be a very elite, selective crowd who were show producers. The top producer people They're all been replaced by 20-year-olds right out of college because they don't have to pay them. Okay?
Is this printing garbage?
They're printing garbage, and now they're suffering from it. Okay?
So, guys, we're coming to the end of the show. We've just gone over 15 minutes. Thank you for coming on, Andrew, and Sean for coming on. So how can people get hold of you for sessions, Andrew?
You can go to my website, andrewbartzis.com. We have a brand new automated booking system, so you can book a session immediately right there on the website. Also, we have a lot of amazing shows coming up. We'll be back this Thursday with a review of Galactic History number 4.
Beautiful. Laura?
Oh, fun.
So we're doing another mini combined healing therapy system in the UK this week, just Andrew and I, and we've got another event coming up for combined healing in York in April, and we're adding the HIFU, which we talked about last week, onto the end of that as well, if any women would like to go for a HIFU treatment, which is a sonic ultrasound, an ultrasound vaginal tightening.
Not sonar.
Not sonar. I say that every time. I know. So we're doing that. And if you'd like a session with me, I'm an ancestral medium. Happy to take you to your ancestral fire. You can book a session with me, Laura 2 feathers with the number 2 @gmail.com.
Thank you, sister. Sean?
Right on. If anyone wants to come on over to Toronto, you can come right to my shop. And you can get an acupuncture session and a PEMF therapy if you want to try it out. With some red light, we do all sorts of stuff here. But you can get a hold of me and check my site out at myinfinitehealth.ca.
Beautiful. And if anybody would like soul surgery, soul retrieval sessions, head over to daletobin.com. And again, thank you all for watching. Thank you, Andrew, Laura, and Sean. Good night, good morning, goodbye.
Hasta luego.